paintings. And I grew up inculcated with the value of doing artwork. And in my late teens and early 20s, focused all my energy on making a lot of sculptures, making found object sculpture. Joseph Cornell was one of my heroes. Giger, Duchamp, Magritte. And there was a point at which, in my peripatetic wanderings around the country, figuring out what I wanted to do for a living, that I happened upon, and I've told this story in a lot of different ways, I happened upon special effects in commercials. I got hired by Jamie Heineman in 1992. And when I started working in special effects, for the first time in my adult life, I started to see that all of these weird skills I'd collected building weird crap in my personal life came to fore all in one location. And I started putting all my energy into the special effects that I was doing. And I had actually noted this occurrence in several other ways before this. I noticed that as I put all my creative energy into the special effects, that I was doing less of my sculpture at home. I have only one brain and I can focus it on one large thing at a time. It had happened earlier. I had moved back into my parents' house like we all do. And I was like 20 and I had started, I grew up with a pool table, a beautiful 1900 Brunswick bulb colander 9-foot table. And I just became addicted to it after I moved back to my parents' house. I played for about 3 hours a day for about 3 years, during which time I made almost no art as well. Or towards the last year and a half, as all my energy was into the billiards. So I'd seen the process where I focused on one thing and other things didn't get focused on. And I was there in special effects, realizing professionally this was actually the first thing that I might call a career. And I was thinking, so I'm not doing my sculpture. You know, special effects is littered with people who say, I used to do fine art. And I was very specific with myself that I wasn't going to say I used to be a sculptor. One of the things I learned from my father was that it's not, I mean, what is it to be an artist? When you say you want to be an artist, when you say you're an artist, all you're doing is you're communicating. Arguably, that's what my career is now, as a communicator. So, as a communicator, what are you communicating? Well, you're communicating about the process. And as anyone who's ever done anything they care about knows, the more you do anything you care about, the better you get at anything. This is the rub. It gets harder, the more difficult it gets. And it gets more difficult in my experience because you're better at it. Because you know where you're full of shit. You know you know your weaknesses and you know your strengths, and you know you want to get rid of your weaknesses and increase your strengths, so you're going to push yourself farther. So on any of those things that you become good at, you're going to go into self-reflection. And that to me is the only purpose of doing anything, is to learn about yourself. So I wasn't going to say, well, I used to be a sculptor, I used to be an artist. Here I am, a special effects artisan. And when I finally got to ILM, I realized I could call myself a wizard. There's one. There's a wizard over there. There's probably like a dozen in this room. And about 3 weeks ago, I was putting the finishing touches on the costume that I brought to DragonCon that I'll wear tomorrow. I'm not... Oh, it's a good one too. Demo! It's a really good one. I managed to get a screen-used mask and hat. Oh. And I was putting the finishing touches on it. And for me, you know, finishing up a list like this, I'm pretty busy. I shoot the show 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I've got twin 11-year-old boys, working on other programs for the Discovery Channel. We're working on other things. I'm doing interviews. There's not a lot of free time. And when there is free time, I have already been thinking about what I'm going to do. Like, okay, I'm going to do this for this little thing. And I grab my time and I start using it as efficiently as possible. And often because I've had time to think about what I'm going to do, that time is used very efficiently. But there I am. This is 3 weeks ago. And it's like 11:30. My wife and I talked about having lunch. And I'm like seeing the clock ticking. And I'm still thinking, here's me. I'm thinking, making this costume